Hello, today is Saturday, February 6th, and this is chapter 37 of the book of Genesis. We pick up in the ancestral narrative of Jacob, Israel, and it takes up with his son, his favorite son, Joseph. Israel, or Jacob's favorite son, Joseph, is beloved of Joseph. He is given a special coat. My translation says it is a coat with sleeves. Now, Hollywood, or not Hollywood, but Broadway has said that it is a Technicolor, amazing coat, Technicolor coat of many colors, something like that. And we've been taught in Sunday school as a coat of many colors. It's also interpreted in the Greek as a coat of many colors, but my translation says it's a coat with sleeves. It's a special coat. It's an enviable coat. And we know the story about Joseph and receiving the coat. But when you read this chapter, you get a bitter picture of what happened to Joseph and really to Jacob. So Joseph was 17 years old, and he was a bit of a tattletale. He told on his brothers, the sons of Zilpah and Bilhah, and this displeased the brothers. So they have the tattletale Joseph, the obvious favorite of their father, Joseph, and the coat. They're jealous, and they're angry at Joseph, and they hate him. It says his brothers hated him. One day, Jacob sends his son out into the fields. Okay, let me give another reason why they hated him. He had these dreams, which are, we know, premonitions of the future, where all the brothers bow down to him, and then a second dream where everyone in the household bows down to him, to Joseph. So he's sharing these dreams with them. So to some degree, he's a little naive about his position in the family. He's wearing the coat, tattletaling on his brothers, and then telling everybody these dreams he has. He's really not making friends in this situation. Joseph, I think he's a little naive. So one day, his father sends him out to the fields to be with his brothers to watch the flocks. And he travels out to find the flocks, can't find them. He comes across a stranger and says, have you seen my brothers? And the guy says, no, they went to Dothan. So he goes all the way to Dothan. And when he gets to Dothan, the brothers see him coming from a long way off, and they hatch a plan to kill him and throw him in a pit. Well, luckily, Reuben intercedes and says, let's not kill him. Let's not have his blood on our hands. Let's just throw him in the pit. And then Reuben had a plan, it says in the scripture, to come back later and save his brother. But while they were waiting for Joseph to show up, they saw some Ishmaelites. Did I say that right? Because they call them Midianites again. Ishmaelites and then Midianites. They're from Gilead with their camels, and they're carrying stuff that the brothers want. And so they make a trade. They sell Joseph into slavery to the Ishmaelites. So Judah is the one who has this plan. And for some reason, Reuben isn't privy to all this selling and trading that goes on with Joseph. Because after they paid 20 pieces of silver for Joseph and took him to Egypt, Reuben returns to the pit, saw that Joseph was missing, and he was very upset. So he went to his brothers and asked them. And we find out that they took Joseph's fancy robe that everyone was jealous of, dipped it in animal blood, and gave it to his father. Giving his father the message, we don't know where Joseph is. He's probably been torn up by a wild animal. Joseph's father, Jacob, Israel, is distraught. He is beside himself. He says that he will mourn his son for the rest of his days. He cannot be comforted. They try to comfort him. He will not be comforted. He is so distraught at losing this favorite son, Joseph. So, the Midianites, or Ishmaelites, the people that bought Joseph, sell him to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, Potiphar, in Egypt. So they take Joseph to Egypt and they sell him to the household of Potiphar. And that is where we stop the chapter. That's the end of the account of how Joseph got removed from his family of origin. And if you look at the story, you really get the sense that they were trying to get rid of a brother that they hated, but what they ended up doing was just making their father distraught. They didn't solve anything. They made their father so upset and so distraught that the memory of their brother in their father's mind grows ever larger and looms greater. And he can do no wrong now because in death he is lifted up. And so what they were trying to do, again, with violence, these brothers, make things better for themselves. They're only thinking in the short term. They didn't think the larger picture. However, God's hand was at work. Reuben saving Joseph's life, and then Judah, as much as we would say, oh, he sold him into slavery, that's terrible, because Reuben would have saved him and brought him back into the family, and maybe the story would have ended with Reuben being the hero and Joseph still being alive and restored to Jacob, and that everything would have been fine and the brothers would have been chastised like they were when they killed everybody in Shechem. But that's not how it happens. So Judah is instrumental in the salvation of the family because of his idea to sell Joseph into slavery, because Joseph ends up in Egypt, very close to the Pharaoh. Right now he's in the household of the captain of the guard, Potiphar, and we'll see what happens next. I hope that you don't have brothers like this. With brothers like this, who needs enemies? God is there. God is at work. And sometimes we can't see the full picture. Imagine Joseph in that pit, desperate and sad, and wondering what those dreams were all about. And then he's sold, and he's traveling to Egypt. He stays faithful, and so does God. And it's a great story. We're just getting started. The narrative of Joseph. So I hope you have a wonderful and beautiful day.